Fighting corruption in partnership as we discharge our responsibilities and mandate. The war against corruption enjoins the concerted efforts of all stakeholders. It is imperative that the populace is galvanized to a point where our repugnance to corruption translates into action against it. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like us, or each one of us, to choose, because life is about choices. It's about making choices, or it's about the choice you make, and your decision determines your destiny. Therefore, each one of us needs to choose how to make a serious contribution to eliminate corruption from where you live, or where each one of us lives, where we work, those we live with. We can actually fight corruption by starting with our own lives. I want to, at this stage, for me, I want to give a testimony of how I chose to fight corruption from the time I was a child. So I am born of a lay reader who is now a reverend, and God chose to reward him after he had retired, and bless my father and my parents. So we are a family of five. We are five children from a man who didn't have much property, or actually who didn't have wealth, but loves God and chose to serve him, and I am a firstborn. So we chose in our home to be examples of others that were even richer, of course that were rich, as we were not at all. And what our parents told us as their children was that we have to look different in society, even when we don't have much to show. But we chose to be different. And the principle was that know that God will give you all you need for life and for godliness, and in his time, he will make things beautiful. So, we chose to always get up in the morning as we walked to school. Of course, there's no car, we would walk actually long distance. We would walk ahead of, because we were told to be different, but also to make positive contribution to wherever we would be as children. Positive contribution, using either your energy or your ideas. So, this fight against corruption, it has to start with parents imparting good morals in their children. We were different in our village, even when we were maybe among the poor families in that village of deep in Kashari, Mbarara. And we worked hard. At school, any class we were in, our family, we strived to always be the best in performance. we always strived to be the best in handwork. You know, those days we'd do handwork using papyrus, doing my papyrus mats. We chose to be different and to make positive contribution, but also to produce results that are pleasing. Now, long story short, when I was chosen among the people that were to fight corruption in Uganda Revenue Authority. That was 1998, when we were at the university. The president of this country sent religious leaders to gather the born again students that had not mixed up in places of work, so were recruited from universities and tertiary institutions on the basis of salvation, and were to do revenue protection services. And that's how my journey to the army started. So I was recruited on the basis of salvation. And after training, I was appointed the first internal auditor of the Presidential Protection Unit then, and this was 2000. And because I had done accounts and some auditing, so I audited a number of things in the unit. Of course, I was among the junior most officers, second lieutenant, who had just come, and so auditing bosses. That's when now the real challenges of work started. It wasn't easy, but I made a difference because I pointed out what had never been realized by leaders. And from that time, His Excellency the President kept me in his security. I headed finance later. After 2 years, I became the head of finance when it was now Presidential Guard Brigade. And at that time, 2002, all the military, the UPDF were being paid cash. I realized that there would be some money that was not paid to the beneficiaries, because one would claim that there is not enough change. So I was the one that proposed that all soldiers be paid through banks. I again wanted to make a positive contribution. And we took all soldiers to the Presidential Guard Brigade was the first UPDF unit or brigade to be paid through banks. And soldiers were happy that now you would get all your money through your bank, you would withdraw it when you want, and then come to 2006, challenge came, and there was money that was in my custody as head finance, and the owners, the soldiers, had been taken to handle some operation, and the money was supposed to feed them because they were in training. I took that money, 18 million that time. It was a lot of money, and my salary was only 240,000 shillings. But I took this money back to the headquarters, got my receipt, came back. So at some stage, the leaders asked for that money, and they hadn't asked me, but someone maliciously thought that I had diverted or swindled or embezzled the money. So instead they started an investigation before asking me where the money was. And that investigation, of course, when I was called to ask, I came with a receipt that was from the Director of Finance, UPDF headquarters, and everyone was shocked because nobody would believe that you would take this cash back the way it was. And I used my personal transport, public transport, so I got my small money, boarded a taxi, went to Bombo headquarters, took the money. That's when I was now introduced to the top leadership of the army as a lieutenant who was different. And from that time, I started getting what I deserved, because I was now being protected by the leadership, since I did what was not expected. Why I'm giving that testimony is to tell you that you, as a person who hates corruption, or you as a person who has chosen to fight corruption, you have to be different. You have to do extraordinary activities, or that which is not expected, and be sure that you will be rewarded. Because after that, I was appointed a Director of Finance, and later, His Excellency the President appointed me his Senior Private Secretary. I did that for 3 years. Then he sent me for further training in the UK. I did my Advanced Command and Staff course at the UK Defence Academy, got a chance to do my Masters at King's College London, and when I came back is when he appointed me Senior Presidential Advisor, Anti-Corruption, and then we started this unit that is doing great. Even when I have left, it is doing great, the Anti-Corruption Unit. I have given my testimony to challenge you that you need to be different, you need to do something. If we are to fight corruption, start with yourself, start with your family. Family morals matter a lot. So, and it has to be you to make a difference where you are. And that's when this strengthening the fight against corruption will produce results. We have to start with ourselves and make a difference from home to school, to work, and maybe back home and your children. So